welcome back to Heart, Mind and Soul, your channel for personal development and self-love. Stay tuned. Hello my friends. Today, as promised in the last video, we're going to talk about the cycle of change. So the cycle of the fear of change. And so that hopefully you will be able to understand how it works and recognize the steps in which you might be at the moment. And then just by being aware of this and knowing that is normal, you will be able to take the courage to do your next step towards that change that you need to make. So there are 6 steps to the fear of change process, and it all starts with some discontent. Maybe in an area of your life, it could be relationships, it could be work, it could be health. You increasingly become unhappy and frustrated with the situation in your life about this. Nonetheless, you decide to ignore it for this time because paradoxically, you are more comfortable where you are now, and you're more familiar with what you live every day. So for now, you decide to ignore this step. The second step will be the breaking point. At this point, there is no more denying. I mean, you are really aware that you need to change something. As we said, it could be in your relationship, in your job, whatever. And, you just can't take it anymore now. But unfortunately, this happens through a serious event, some sort of exhaustion or something drastic happens in your life. Step number 3 would be the decision. So finally, you have decided, you are fed up, enough is enough, and you're really, sure you're going to make this decision that you need, and this gives you a short-lived sense of hope. And then at number 4, here comes fear. And here, shortly after you decided, you start getting anxious because you feel really, really uncomfortable. You feel resistance in going towards this change, and you're scared and you feel helpless, basically. And then number 5, after the fear, here comes the amnesia. And all of a sudden, you're like, I don't know if I really want to change. I think my old situation is not that bad anyway. And yeah, maybe I can go on a little bit more. So yeah, you have this sort of amnesia and you forget about all the pain you've been through, and maybe you tend to minimize it. But there's anyway a lot of resistance and discomfort, and I can witness that. Definitely is like that. And finally, the last stage is, unfortunately, going back to what it was. Many people don't make it through because it can be really uncomfortable, and you need to take your responsibility, and you really need to want to really change. And luckily, I made it through. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here speaking to you. So believe me that if I made it through that uncomfortable change, for me was very uncomfortable, then anybody can do it, really. And this is not a ready-made phrase to say, but it is really true. It is really true. So let's go to the next step. So the two ways in which we can change all this, there are two ways. The first way is the breaking point. I mean, something tragic in your life happens, or if it's not that tragic, but you really come to a point where you can't go any further, and you have to decide what to do. So life puts in front of you some obstacle that you really need to solve. Otherwise, you can't move forward. So, as I said, it could be an accident. It could be the loss of your job. It could be the loss of a dear person. It could be all those not so pleasant things that can happen to us in our lives. This is actually, I think, the most common way of coming to a decision in our lives. But it doesn't have to be this way. The other way, it would be to actually take up responsibility for our life. And the second way is self-honesty. We really need to be honest with ourselves. Unfortunately, and I might be wrong, so if I'm wrong, write down in the comments if it happened in a different way for you. But I think that this second way is more rare than the first one, because you need to be aware. You need to be self-aware to do this step. So if I'm being honest with myself, I need to recognize that maybe I don't want to change, and I'm gonna read something because I don't want to forget these things. Maybe I don't actually want to change. I don't want to part from my habits or addictions. I have too many self-limiting beliefs, or maybe I receive some sort of benefit in staying in my situation. Because even if it is a negative situation, for example, it could be that I am dependent on someone in regards to money. So I'm financially dependent on someone, and this is not very nice or convenient, well, at least in my opinion. At the same time, because I don't believe in myself, or I haven't been, working for such a long time, so I don't have that self-worth that I need. In a way, that is convenient for me, because someone is thinking about my financial bills, and I can stay in my situation, so I am comfortable in that situation. Obviously, maybe not psychologically, but practically I am. And so you need to be really honest with yourself and see what is your resistance. It could also be that you are so used to play that part in your life that if you change and if you leave that side of you, you might not even recognize yourself anymore, and you feel like, okay, but if I change, then what will be my identity? I mean, this is my identity. For example, if you're so used to complain all the time, or think that life is always against you, then, you know, and this is unconscious, but what are you going to do afterwards? What are you going to talk about? You obviously need to change your identity. Only after being really so honest with yourself, then you have a choice of changing. And let me stress choice, because we always do have a choice in our lives. We can choose to stay the old way with the old habits, or we can choose a new way. Tomorrow is always a choice of how you're going to live it. So we always do have a choice, even in the worst situations, if you think about it. So my friends, coming to the conclusion of this video, and I hope you enjoyed it and you found it useful for you. I would like to leave you with some questions that you can ask yourself to see if you are in this cycle and how can you overcome it. So I will ask you, can you recognize how this change cycle has impacted your life? Are you ready for it to stop? What will happen if you continue not to change? Are you ready to take responsibility for your life? So be really honest with yourself. I know it's not easy. You might feel guilty, but you really have no reason to feel guilty. We are on this planet to learn, to grow, to have experiences. And as I said, tomorrow is always a new beginning. So give yourself a chance, a possibility, and take that courage to make the change that you need to make in your life. So my friends, it was a pleasure being with you once again. Take care, and we'll see each other next time. Bye bye.